You don't realize your life's unraveling until the threads are already wrapped around your throat. To most people, I was just another quiet guy in a quiet cul-de-sac. 39. Taught middle school literature in a suburban district just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. Wife, decent car, a dog named Bowie, and a backyard that needed mowing more often than I cared to admit. Nothing flashy, nothing loud. My name's Aaron Sullivan. I thought I was building something real. I met Paige on a volunteer trip after grad school. She was a speech therapist with too much charm for one zip code, all laughter and impossible eyes. We clicked like puzzle pieces that had waited their whole lives to fit. Or maybe that's just what I told myself for the last 12 years. We'd been married 9. The first crack came small, as it always does. A missed call at midnight labeled, "Jess, work," that ended quickly when I entered the room. Paige smiled, said it was a scheduling mistake. The second crack? A hotel receipt I found folded into her gym bag. Richmond. 1 king bed. But no business conference on her calendar that week. By the time I realized the cracks were growing into chasms, she was already someone else. She'd stopped kissing me goodbye, stopped wearing her ring around the house, started wearing lipstick when she went on runs. I didn't confront her, not at first. Instead, I paid attention. I remembered something an old professor once told me. Writers don't invent stories, they trap them. So I started documenting. Call logs, strange charges, license plate numbers on unfamiliar cars parked on our block too often. Photos of her reflection in sunglasses not mine. The back of her neck as she leaned too far into someone else's orbit at a bar she said she hated. It all built toward one night, a Thursday in early March. She came home at 11:43 p.m. No apology, no excuse. Just tossed her purse on the counter and mumbled, "Tough session. I'm exhausted." I stared at her, really stared. And for the first time, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger wearing her voice. I said nothing. Not because I was weak, but because the most dangerous men are the ones who've stopped needing explanations. What she didn't know was that I'd already met the man she was seeing. Not accidentally. I made it happen. His name was Craig. 32. Divorced. Graphic designer. Met her at a yoga retreat she claimed she only attended once. But I'd seen the Instagram photo she didn't tag herself in. Saw her reflection in the mirror behind him. Same bracelet. Same pose. Same betrayal. I went to a local art walk where his work was featured. Posed as an admirer. Bought one of his pieces. Struck up conversation. Dropped hints that I was seeing someone who wasn't exactly single. He laughed. Said, "Yeah, sometimes it's complicated." I smiled. "Yeah, man, it really is." Now I had a face, a voice, a crack in the armor, and a plan that required nothing but patience. Paige didn't suspect. She thought she was the illusionist, the shadow walker. But I was the one building the trap behind her curtain. You want to hurt someone who lies for sport? You make the truth the thing that kills them. Not fists, not yelling. Just facts so well arranged they become impossible to deny. This was only the setup. And what she couldn't see coming would make every lie taste like ash in her mouth. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted a reckoning. You see, Paige didn't break my heart. She insulted my intelligence. She thought she could cheat and vanish into her curated world of scented candles and silent phones, pretending our life was still neatly folded in the linen closet. But I've always believed in the power of build-up. A story hits harder when the audience thinks they know what's coming. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to narrate her collapse. Craig had no idea who I was. Just thought I was some quiet guy named Ben. Used an old college email and a burner number to set up our friendship. I told him I was working on a documentary about emerging artists in the South, looking for authentic stories. He took the bait. Eager little narcissist. Flattered as hell. We met for coffee twice. I recorded both conversations. He spoke about a woman he wasn't supposed to care about, but couldn't stay away from. "She's married," he said, sipping his cold brew like he was confessing to a priest. "It's messed up. But God, the way she looks at me. Does her husband suspect?" I asked casually. He shook his head. She says he's kind of a ghost. Quiet type. Predictable. Never really asks questions. I almost laughed. Ghosts see everything. I learned he had no idea she was married for nearly a decade. She told him 5 years. Said I was checked out. That we hadn't been intimate in a year. Bold lies for someone who still used my Spotify account. I played along. Took notes. Built a timeline. On our third meeting, I gave him a gift, a framed print of a quote I claimed I saw in his studio. What is it? He asked. It's from a French poet. It says, what is hidden in the heart, the eyes will eventually confess. He smiled. Damn, that's deep. Yeah, I replied. It stays with you. And it would. Because etched behind the matting, hidden in the paper backing, was a GPS tracker. Tiny. Legal. Untraceable. Now, every time he moved, I knew. And he moved a lot. To my house. To hotels. To places she told me she was too exhausted to visit after long days of client notes and back-to-back therapy check-ins. Her lies began to fold in on themselves. One weekend she claimed she was visiting her sister in Savannah. But Craig's location said otherwise. He was at a cabin in Asheville. Funny thing? So was Paige's yoga mat. I booked the neighboring rental under a different name. Brought Bowie along just for the symbolism. From the ridge, I could see their porch through trees. At 7:43 p.m. she stepped outside barefoot, wine glass in hand, wearing the hoodie I thought she'd lost last fall. At 7:45 p.m. he joined her. Kissed her. At 7:48 p.m. I took the photo. Not to confront. Not yet. But for the gallery. Because when the truth finally came, it wouldn't be spoken. It would be displayed. On the way home, I stopped at a print shop. Enlarged the photo. High resolution. Matte finish. 18 by 24. Then I ordered 4 more frames. Each one for a moment she thought she'd gotten away with. What Paige didn't know, what Craig was about to learn, is that I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was building the exhibit. And the opening night was coming soon. A good betrayal doesn't destroy a person in one blow. It makes them twist, slowly, trying to escape a spotlight they never expected to be under. And I was building that spotlight bulb by bulb, beam by beam, until it would shine directly into Paige's beautiful, lying face. I started small. Subtle. I reconnected with her mother, Karen. A woman who never fully trusted me when Paige and I married, but who, ironically, always respected my moral compass. We met for brunch. I played the role of the tired but devoted husband. I don't know, I said, pushing my eggs around. She's been distant. You ever notice that? Karen frowned. She has seemed distracted lately. Every time I call, she says she's swamped. She says work's crazy. But some of her stories just don't add up. Then I paused like the thought just occurred to me. You don't think she's seeing someone, do you? Karen looked stunned. God, Aaron. I hope not. Yeah. Me too. It was a seed.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing experience. But we really need your support, namely a subscription to the channel, which can make it possible to hire a professional voice actor and make the best content for you.
And I knew Karen wouldn't be able to stop herself from watering it. Within a week, Paige was getting longer phone calls from her mom. I could hear her voice rise from the other room, defensive then overly sweet. I didn't listen to all of them. I didn't need to. Because the more she scrambled to patch the cracks, the wider they'd spread. Next, I looped in Jenna, our mutual friend, Paige's college roommate, and the only person I suspected might still have a moral compass of her own. I didn't accuse. I showed her one of the framed photos. I'm not crazy, right? I asked, placing it on the coffee table. Jenna covered her mouth. Oh my God. That's Craig. She told me she broke things off months ago. She told me she was in Savannah visiting her sister. Silence. Then Jenna looked me in the eyes. You don't deserve this. I know, I said. But she needs to see it. All of it. And I want someone there to witness what the truth looks like when it's finally unwrapped. Jenna didn't say yes. But she didn't walk away either. The next day she messaged me. Whatever you're planning. I'm in. That was all I needed. I created a private event on Facebook under a fake name. Art showcase. The architecture of absence. Invitation only. Location, a small, private gallery I rented downtown for one night. Theme, intimacy and deception. No one would know who the artist was. The only hint was the line in the invitation description, every story leaves shadows. This one leaves a silhouette. I sent invites to about 20 people. Carefully chosen. Paige's mother. Jenna. A few coworkers. 2 neighbors. Craig. And of course, Paige herself sent anonymously with the subject line, "You've been featured." And just for good measure, I made sure the event link found its way into her work Slack. Because sometimes shame works better when there's an audience. As the RSVPs came in, I updated the exhibit. Frame by frame. Lie by lie. Each photo accompanied by text. Real text. From her. To him. Quotes like, "I wish I could erase him. Just you and me forever." Underneath, a timestamp. A location. A cross-reference to where I was at that exact moment. Volunteering at a school. Walking our dog. Driving to pick her up dinner. It wasn't just revenge. It was justice in high definition. And the night of the gallery? That was going to be her debut. Only this time she wasn't the star. She was the subject. The night of the exhibit, the air was crisp, one of those rare southern spring evenings when the sky feels clean and the wind doesn't carry secrets. The gallery was small, intimate. Clean white walls, track lighting, minimalist wine bar in the back. I kept the guest list tight. Everyone had to RSVP. No phones allowed. Just an immersive experience in curated narrative photography, as the brochure said. They arrived one by one. Paige, fashionably late, wearing a black off-shoulder dress like she was walking into a fundraiser. She laughed when she walked in, whispering to Jenna, "God, this place is so intense." Jenna didn't answer. I stood in the shadows behind the gallery's divider wall, watching it all unfold. The photos weren't labeled. Just numbers. 1 through 10. Each frame clean, precise, painful. Frame 1. Paige on a hotel balcony with Craig, holding the wine glass I'd seen her pour at home that same morning. Frame 2. Her reflection in his sunglasses at a park where she said she was helping her friend move. Frame 3. Text exchange printed large, overlaid on a blurry image of their hands under a restaurant table. I told him I was sick. He doesn't ask anymore. Good. That makes it easier. By frame 4, the room had gone quiet. Except for Craig. He stood rooted in front of the image of himself kissing her in Asheville, his mouth slightly open like someone had hit pause on his life. He turned to look at her. She didn't move. Frame 5 showed her walking into our house at 2:17 a.m., makeup smudged, heels in her hand. A split screen showed a timestamp from my phone, me texting her, "Let me know when you're safe." Then came the centerpiece. Frame 6. A wide shot of Paige sitting in our backyard, smiling at Craig across the fire pit. Underneath, the words. "He's like a ghost. I think he knows, but he never says anything." Silence dropped like a curtain. Her eyes were wide now. Her mouth moving, but no sound came out. She looked around at her mother, who stood rigid near the back wall, at Jenna, who didn't look away, at Craig, who finally backed away from her like she was made of acid. Then Paige turned to the curator. "Where's the artist?" she demanded. I stepped out from the divider. Every head turned. She locked eyes with me and whispered, "You?" I didn't speak. Just walked to the final frame and revealed frame 10, a photo of us on our wedding day. She was smiling at me. I was looking slightly away, almost as if I knew. Beneath it, the inscription. "You taught me silence. I used it to listen." She stumbled backward. Not from a push. From the weight. From the fact that everyone in the room had just seen her without the script, without the filters, without the angle she spent years controlling. She left in silence. Craig followed, but not to chase. He just didn't want to stay. The guests filtered out slowly. Some offered nods. A few whispered "damn" under their breath. Jenna gave me a hug without saying a word. Karen couldn't look me in the eye. Good. That meant she finally saw the truth. I stayed until the gallery emptied. Packed up the frames. Turned off the lights. No applause. No press. Just the echo of betrayal finally framed. And the sound of Paige's carefully built world finally breaking. The next morning, the text started. From unknown numbers. From mutual friends. From people who hadn't spoken to me in years. Was that real? Did she know? Are you okay? I didn't respond to most. That wasn't the point. The truth doesn't need applause. It just needs oxygen. By noon, I got an email from the gallery manager. "Your showcase triggered more walk-ins and inquiries than any exhibit we've done this quarter. Thank you." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so damn poetic. The gallery hadn't displayed art. It had displayed evidence. And people had treated it like confession. Meanwhile, Paige had vanished. No posts. No stories. No likes. Social media ghosted. I heard from Jenna 2 days later. She moved in with her sister. Karen's furious. She keeps saying, "Why didn't you tell me?" Like she deserved a different version of her daughter. She didn't, I said flatly. And Craig quit his job. Deleted everything. Heard he's thinking about moving. Smart, I said. The shadows are shorter in other cities. Paige finally reached out a week later. Not to apologize. To ask for her side. I deserve to explain, she wrote. You ambushed me. You turned people against me. I stared at her message, reread the word deserve, and thought about the thousands of times I'd defended her when she wasn't around. Thought about the nights I'd made her tea when she faked migraines to avoid intimacy. Thought about the time I sat in the emergency room waiting for her test results after a scare, and how she later admitted she lied to see if I still cared. Deserve? She deserved the mirror I'd handed her. And if she hated the reflection, that wasn't my fault. I never responded. The final act of control is silence. Because in the absence of words, people reveal themselves. From Jenna, I learned Paige had been telling people she was manipulated, that I had stalked her and twisted the narrative, but no one was buying it, because nothing I showed in the gallery was altered. Nothing was exaggerated, and I never used her name. She had outed herself. I started over, quietly, got a new apartment across town. Bowie adjusted quickly. Dogs always know when a space is safe again. I went back to teaching, took on a summer course at the community college. Even started writing again. Fiction, mostly. Stories where the villains lose. One afternoon, I found a manila envelope taped to my door. Inside a photo. One of the ones from the exhibit. Torn in half. Paige's face shredded. Mine left intact. No note. No return address. Just the final page in a story that was no longer mine to finish. And it hit me then. She still didn't get it. This wasn't about her being caught. It was about me reclaiming the version of myself she tried to bury under guilt and compromise. Her betrayal wasn't what destroyed me. It's what revealed me. It's funny how people think revenge is loud, that it's fire and shouting and doors slammed into drywall. But real revenge, the kind that works, it's quiet. It walks out the door in perfect posture and never looks back. 3 months passed. Spring turned to early summer. The air thickened, but my mind never did. I stopped checking Paige's socials. Not out of forgiveness, but because she no longer held real estate in my mind. What she did was documented, processed, and archived in full. I published a short story by June. Fiction. Except not really. It was about a man whose wife vanished behind small lies that became pillars. And how, instead of confronting her, he used those lies to build a lighthouse so that others could see the warning before crashing into their own versions of her. The editor called it subtle but haunting. I called it healing. Jenna and I kept in touch. Platonically, she invited me to a 4th of July cookout. When I walked in, a couple of her friends whispered, "Is that him?" Apparently, I developed a bit of an aura. Not fame, not infamy, just the weight of someone who walked through fire and brought back blueprints. At the party, a woman named Elise asked me, "Do you regret it? The gallery?" She nodded, exposing it all. Publicly, I sipped my drink. Let the moment settle. "No," I said. She wore a mask for years. I just took it off in a room full of mirrors. Elise studied me like I was an exhibit myself. Then she smiled, slow and knowing. That's the most honest thing I've heard in a long time. Paige's name never came up again. Not in court, there was nothing left to fight for. Not in rumors, no one cared to pick sides anymore. Not in my chest, where she used to live rent-free, telling me love meant tolerating erosion. And Craig? Last I heard, he moved to Atlanta, opened a design studio. Maybe he's reinventing himself. Maybe not. I hope he's better. Not for me. For the next poor fool who confuses obsession with love. As for me, I still walk Bowie every morning. Still keep my coffee black. Still let sunlight in even when I don't feel like it. But now, there's no shadow behind it. Only air. Clean, earned, and mine. And sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet and safe and undisturbed, I pull out that final photo from the exhibit, the one of our wedding. Her smiling at the camera. Me looking slightly off-frame. I keep it not out of nostalgia, but as proof that even back then, part of me already knew.
What do you think of the story? Write in the comments.